G'day mates, Jacaro Toro here. And this is now the 5th video about Australian Aboriginal religion. And as you can see on the board, we are today going to focus on the Rainbow Serpent, but actually also on father gods and mother goddesses, which were an obsession among anthropologists and religious scholars during one period of time, father gods and mother goddesses in Australia. So the Rainbow Serpent is considered to be an ancestor with a capital A, that existed in big parts of Australia, if not everywhere. And as an ancestor, it is a creator. But is this really the case? That is what we are going to look at today. Yes, and I thought we could start with Alfred Radcliffe Brown, the famous and important anthropologist who studied and described the lives of Australian Aborigines in the first half of the 20th century, and whose first name I didn't include for some reason. He was a believer in the existence of the Rainbow Serpent, and among other things he wrote the following. I have not memorized this, I'm afraid. This is rather long. So he wrote that the basis of Aboriginal religion is an attitude whereby the whole of nature is regarded as sacred. Yes, so far, so good. And then he wrote that the Rainbow Serpent is in many parts of Australia regarded as a transcendent symbol or ruler of nature. Though in some parts, most notably in the southeast of the continent, there is instead a father god, who is considered to be the creator. At lower levels of organization, ritual responsibilities for divisions of nature, that would be different species of animals or plants, are undertaken by correlated divisions of society. That would be clans. See my previous video about increased rituals and totemism. And divisions of the land, clan territories, are attributed to the creative activity of these totemic ancestors with a capital A, who created everything in the Dreamtime. And see the second video in this series concerning the Dreamtime. That is where I start to talk about the dreaming and the Dreamtime. And in an article from 1930, Radcliffe Brown also wrote the following. The Rainbow Serpent may, with some justification, be described as occupying the position of a deity, perhaps the most important nature deity. But the question then is this really the case? Well, let's look at a few examples here. And first we have the American Lloyd Warner, who went to northeasternmost Arnhem Land in Australia's Northern Territory, and there discovered that the Rainbow Serpent was called Yorongor, meaning the Great Father. The thunder is his voice, the lightning his tongue, and the rainbow his body. Yes, and the main story about Yorongur, in vernacular religious tradition anyway, concerns a meeting between him and the Wawilag sisters and their infant sons. So these two sisters and their infant sons, they were out on a creation journey, and they came to Yorongur's waterhole, where they made camp. And then one of the sisters profaned the waterhole with her menses, no less, which angered Yorongur, who rose up and swallowed the sisters and their sons, and then spewed them out, and then repeated this several times, until in the end he kept the sons, but spit out the sisters, who turned to stone. And the spirits of the Wawilag sisters then taught men songs and ceremonies, which have been performed ever since. So the story goes anyway. Yes, so that's in northeasternmost Arnhem Land. Moving west along the coast in the Northern Territory, we come to the Morin-Pata tribe. Famous anthropologist W.E.H. Stanner was there and did anthropological work, and he discovered that the rainbow serpent was there called Kunmangur, the first man, who was described as being the one who made us all, whose spit was the rainbow, and whose image can be seen on old rock paintings. However, as Stanner discovered, there are no ceremonies performed for the first man, no stories about him. Instead, the Morin-Pata people worship what has been called a mother goddess, the old woman. Yes, so quite different. And if we move a little further west, along Australia's northern coast, we come to the Unambal or Wunambal people in northernmost Western Australia, where German anthropologist Andreas Lommel did field work. And he discovered that the rainbow serpent there is a bisexual snake called Ungud, that together with the Milky Way created the world and created everything in the world, different species and so on, by dreaming them into existence. And then it created many copies of itself, or clones perhaps, called Wonjina, which it placed in different places, most notably in water holes. And these Wonjina, they create the spirits that enter into human women and create babies. Yes, that's the religious belief among these people about where the babies come from. So as you can see, there are great differences here, huge differences. And the fact is that Kenneth Maddock, in an essay from 1978, claimed that the idea of the rainbow serpent is nothing less than an anthropological fiction, because there is no permanence in form for the creature associated with the rainbow. Various species of snakes are identified by different Australian Aboriginal tribes, as well as species of lizard and crocodiles, and amalgamations of different species even. And different Aboriginal peoples do not agree on whether this rainbow serpent is important or not, what powers it has or not. For some tribes, it is very important. For other tribes, like the Murin Pata, very marginal. And something that has been discovered over time is that the rainbow serpent is often bisexual, both has female and male reproductive capacities. This seems to be a theme that is spread, and the male and female parts needed for sexual reproduction, that is an idea that you find in Australian Aboriginal religions all over, which means that it can be very old. Now, how politically incorrect can they get, right? Male and female parts needed for reproduction. Anyway, but it would seem that at different times and at different places, different tribes have decided to focus either on the male sexuality, the male part of reproduction, so to speak, or female sexuality, the female part. Hence, you get father gods in some places and mother goddesses in other. So, what do you think? Should we consider the rainbow serpent a real thing, an entity, an ancestor that we can talk about as being important in Aboriginal Australia? Well, I am not an anthropologist or a religious scholar, as I have mentioned previously, so I'm going to let you make up your own minds. The organizers of the Rainbow Serpent Music Festival certainly believe that there is such an entity. This takes place annually in Victoria, in southeastern Australia. Yes, but I think this will be all for today. If you've made it this far, why not like this video and share it with someone who might be interested. And if you have more information about the rainbow serpent, what it looks like, how it's described in different tribes, why not share with us in the comments so that we can all learn something. And consider subscribing as well, why don't you? And as you probably know, if you've seen my videos before, I will be back. So, see you later.